Okay, before I start this video, I just want to say thank you for all the support on the sleep video. It was great to see people saying that they enjoyed it and they liked the advice and they want more videos like that. So that's definitely what you're going to get. Leave something in the comments about what you want to see in the future. I'm willing to talk about anything and everything on this channel. So let's begin. Motivation. Motivation's a big one because it basically dictates whether you're going to be taking actions to move forward towards your goals or you're just going to be stuck in a cycle of unproductive behavior. So it's definitely very important to have motivation. And in my time through reading and personal experience, I found that there's really three major things that contribute towards whether or not you're motivated. I'm going to be talking about all those today. So first off is a big rule that when I read about it, it kind of changed my whole perspective on how motivation works. I don't remember where I read it. It was one of the 100 self-improvement books I read. But it's a big rule, and it's this. Motivation doesn't inspire action. Action inspires motivation. And basically what that means is that it's very unlikely that you're just going to sit there and something's going to give you the motivation to get stuff done, whereas something that's actually going to motivate you to get a bunch of stuff done is doing little things. So, for example, say you want to go to the gym, you're trying to find motivation to go to the gym. The first thing you can do is literally just stand up and figure out what you would do if you did go to the gym. Like little things that point you towards the direction of the big thing you actually want to get done. Because obviously, when people are lacking motivation, it's usually because the task in front of them, it seems daunting. It's a big thing. Say you have schoolwork and you have this maybe big project that you have to start and you keep procrastinating it. Rather than sitting there and waiting for the motivation to hit, maybe you can just, take a second and just open the project, read the rubric, figure out what you actually have to do. And it's amazing that just taking that first step, some little initiative actually gives you a crazy amount of motivation to get stuff done. I'll give you an example. Obviously I'm a YouTuber. When I'm lacking motivation to make my videos, a great thing that actually gets me there is literally just writing a script of how I want the video to go. And it's crazy. I can go from literally not wanting to make the video at all until just writing a couple lines or how I want the video to go. That sparks something in my brain that's all right, it's time to record. So motivation isn't so much about, you're sitting there, you need a reason to go out and get stuff done, rather than it's just if you start doing the little things, they'll point you way in the direction of the big things because it's going to give you kind of momentum, and it's a lot easier than just going from doing nothing to shooting yourself into some huge task. Okay, so that was the first thing. The second thing is a little more complicated, and I'm going to do my best to explain it, but it's a little scientific, which is out of my territory. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. But basically, in a word, the second big thing that involves motivation is dopamine. And you've probably heard it before. Dopamine is the pleasure chemical in the brain that happens when we do pleasuring activities, like eating fast food, choking the chicken, stuff like that. It's basically the thing that pings in our brain when we do stuff that makes us physically feel good. But as it turns out, what I learned about dopamine is it isn't just the pleasure, but it also has a lot to do with desire and want. So if we're saying you're about to jerk off, it's not just the dopamine is when, the feeling good part of it, but the dopamine is also involved in the process of you wanting to jerk off. So it's a two-part thing. It has the desire and then the pleasure. So basically, you can rewire this for motivation in your tasks. So I'm gonna paint you a picture first. Have you ever just been sitting down, not doing anything, really bored, and you just have nothing going on, and your brain will make you start doing something just because you're so bored? You'll count the tiles on the floor. You'll listen to something. Your brain, if you're so bored, your brain will automatically just have you start doing something. That is your brain seeking dopamine, because what I found out is that the brain, no matter what your situation is, it's gonna find dopamine somewhere. So as it turns out, if you get rid of, the mindless scrolling, if you get rid of the jerking off, if you get rid of the TV, all that type of stuff, the brain is gonna look for dopamine in other places. So if you can find a way to get rid of those instant gratification activities as much as possible your brain will start looking for the dopamine. And if you can put that dopamine into productive things, working out, working, your favorite hobbies, then you'll actually start to get pleasure by doing those productive activities. And when I first heard this, it was this random YouTube video. I heard this in, I wish I could link it, but I totally forget what it was. Shout out to that guy if you're watching this. But yeah, basically, I saw this and I was like, okay, so I completely ditched my phone. I stopped eating fast food. Like, it was just an experiment for a day, but I completely got rid of all these like dopamine inducing activities. And it was crazy. Like, I just started working like crazy. Like, I was working on videos. I was reading books more. I was playing chess. I had a great workout. Wasn't listening to music. Literally just lifting. And I'm starting, like, it was just a theory. I don't know if this is actually scientifically backed, but I genuinely believe it's true. That if you can cut these quick hits of dopamine out of your life, these instant gratification stuff, then your brain will actually start to enjoy other stuff. And if you can fill it with productive stuff, then you'll have this crazy mind connection of like, this is the stuff I enjoy, this stuff gives me pleasure. And it'll make things that normally you're like procrastinating so much better. And one more point to this, your brain has a limited amount of dopamine in the day that like it can get. So if you're doing these quick hits, instant gratification activities, you're watching YouTube for a couple hours, jerking off, whatever, then your brain's going to be depleted of dopamine. And those are the moments where you have no motivation. Like, it's not your fault. Your brain is literally just empty, and it's saying, all right, we did good. We got our dopamine today. We don't need to do anything else. So that's where you have those moments of like no motivation. It's because your brain's already knocked off on dopamine and it's content. So yeah, I hope all that made sense. That was 4 minutes of a lot of yapping. If you have any questions in the comments, let me know, but that's a big one. And lastly, the third tip, this one's a little more philosophical or existential, I guess. It's not as straightforward as the first two, but I still think it's very important and I want to mention it, and that's purpose. A lot of the reason people aren't finding motivation to do stuff, whether it be working out, doing a good job at work or whatever, it's because they don't really have a good reason to. And that's completely reasonable. I mean, it makes sense that if you don't have a great reason in your brain for doing these types of things that are productive for you, then you're not going to be super motivated to do them. But if I figured out, if you can attach a huge purpose to the productive things you're doing, then you can keep that purpose in mind when you're doing them. So I'll give you an example. Like, for me, I power lift in the gym. I do like squat, bench, and deadlift, and I have this huge lifetime goal of hitting a total of 1,400 pounds in those categories. And this is a goal that I've kind of acquired after a year or two, and I had to figure out what my long-term goal is. But every time I go in the gym, I'm thinking about that goal, and that is kind of something that inspires me to do my best work in the gym. So just finding a big picture reason to do the productive things that you want to do can help a lot, because it can kind of give you, in those moments you have, like earlier when you're dopamine depleted, I talked about like you don't really feel like doing stuff, you can be like, wait, I have this long-term goal that I really want to happen, and doing this is actually going to make it happen, so I should be doing it. So when you set these goals and purposes, make sure they're not, shallow or not meaningful. Like, don't go to the gym just so, I can have abs so the girls will like me. Do something that you truly think is going to fulfill you, like, living long, being strong, having a body you're proud of, stuff like that. If you can attach, and they should be attached to your values, they should be unique to you. I was just giving some examples, but if you can find something that you genuinely want and a purpose that you think is going to fulfill you, and you can attach it to these activities, then you're going to find it's a lot easier to get out of bed and consistently keep doing those things, because then when you end up doing them, you're going to have that feeling of not dopamine, but the other happy chemical, serotonin, which is basically that contentment feeling. So yeah, those are the three biggies when it comes to motivation. First one, action inspires motivation, not motivation inspires action. Second is the dopamine trick, and third is finding a purpose. So those are just personally for me, what I find motivates me. But maybe I'm missing out. Let me know in the comments if you have anything you want to add on. But yeah, I hope this helped some people get motivated. And yeah, that's all I got for this video. Let me know what you want to see in the future. Peace out.